So this is one that everybody wanted me to do this morning, so let's check it out, shall we? The obvious thing to say here right now is that I still don't believe this is happening. Okay. Maybe I should turn the audio down a little bit. There we go, I'll turn the audio down. Okay. Planetary devastation. This looks a lot like the leaks that we saw at the moment, or at least the environment does. I'm already recognizing some parts there. Oh, okay, so I'm sorry, people. I'll unpause it, and I'll let it play, and then we'll go back through. Okay. Does look pretty, I'll give it that. Okay, that, again, some stuff that I'm going to comment on in a bit, but this is looking really neat so far. Ooh, interesting tagline. Ooh, okay. Okay. So, let's get into this. So, first off, quite a lot of people obviously are going to be surprised that this is even a thing right now. But I'm going to temper my my expectations and my hype, primarily because it's just a CGI trailer. And I don't want to get too hyped and then get burned, obviously. So, cautious optimism again. I'm just going to look at things, though. I like when you look at everything here, even though it's a CG trailer, you can kind of get what they're going for a little bit. Especially because of looking back at the leaks as well. So, we can kind of understand what happened. So, something causes this devastating event, which then everybody has to capitalize on. Feed the fire. So I like I'm going to be going through this and detailing just little bits. I like the idea that at the beginning here we've got this absolutely barren wasteland that supports almost no life, seemingly. And you can see like some ruins in the background. I like this kind of setup that they've got, you know, with the text plus what's going on screen. I should reiterate a little bit more, or at least explain a little bit more of why I like that, because it's something so simple, but when you start piecing it together in certain ways, I don't know whether it's just me being a crazy theorist about this, but honestly, I think that this is the way, they feel like this is the final way of making up for what happened with AC previously, with AC5, the lack of it, you know, over the past like 10 years, and just the fact that Miyazaki wants to take the reins of the franchise again, obviously. Miyazaki is famous for doing Armored Core 4 and for Answer, which were held in very high regards on the 360 and PS3, primarily because they were very anime-inspired, even more so than Armored Core is normally. And it came out just the right time where everything was, like, super cool, and a lot of the mech stuff around that time was really good as well, so it came out at just the right time for mech fans to indulge in all the crazy fantasies. So we got high-speed action and everything else. And then after that, I've mentioned this before, the fifth entry is where the director changed, so it wasn't Miyazaki anymore, and it almost felt like it was appealing to a more Western audience. And the reason why I say this is because it wasn't really that well received by quite a lot of the fans, or rather the more vocal ones. And as such, going back to this video now, we're seeing this this AC unit, this mech, picking up these parts. And longtime fans of the franchise will notice that, I mentioned this previously in the leak video, is that these parts are incredibly familiar. They're very similar to Generation 3 and Generation 4, and the reason why I highlight that is because that was like the peak of Armored Core, really. It's the best it's ever been, and it's almost like the going back and saying, okay, look, we recognize we might have made a mistake here or two. We're going to salvage what we can here, and we're going to see how the game plays out if we take it back to those more classic elements that you're familiar with. And I feel like, I might be reading into that too much, but it definitely shows, especially here. Like, they pick up this arm part, and the arm itself is showing a lot of similarities with some of the more familiar stuff, specifically I think it's the Crest Assault type from Silent Line. There are a couple of ones that are very similar, same with the legs and the torso, but I'll talk about that later. We got this beautiful backdrop here, which looks a little bit more like Armored Core 5, but I did say that they were looking like they were mixing art styles on the leaks video. Loving this, like, Death Stranding style thing going on here. Now, I had a look at this before. The first thing I thought was maybe they're actually doing what they tried to do with Armored Core 5, or 4, sorry, which is link the timelines together, but I think this might be a different approach to it. I was looking at the MTs or normal mechs, whatever you want to call them, the cannon fodder here to see if I could see any familiar designs, but I couldn't. I did see the PA shield there, or at least it looks like a PA shield. For anyone who doesn't know, PA shields were in Armored Core 4. They were new technology, and they just stopped certain projectile attacks in mid-air, or at least allowed you to defend against them. You can see that dissipates there. We got the mech jumping over. It's a quad-legged mech that looks very agile, and again, these parts look very classic, which is going to appeal heavily to old fans. We've got this, what looks like a shield or some type of melee weapon that opens up, and it almost looks like it has micro-missiles on. Kind of reminds me of the Switchblade from Bloodborne, because then next moment, the flick that around, and all these explosions just appear and just destroy everything. That looks super cool. Don't know whether they're including, like, transformable weapons there, but this looks to be kind of like a grenade launcher, maybe the missile pod setup here. And we've got defending against missiles. Again, these classic-looking parts. We've got an older-style-looking core with what looks like a turret on it. And then a plasma shield, or maybe it's the PA shield again. Then you've got the mech that we've been following up until now, charging a new one that's sort of in the shadows here. Looks like he's got a very oversized Spas 12 there. Love the background though as well, that looks so cool. And then the new mech that's fighting it. I honestly thought this was a classic core, or at least it looked like it, in terms of the part. And then it looks like what we have here is some sort of either EMP or time dilation or something. I'm not entirely sure. The reason why is because it gives off this lightning effect. Then you see it get this giant blade ready, and then it just gets rammed straight through there with it. And I don't know whether it gets temporarily disabled or what, but it looks like it might be a different mechanic to what we're used to in some of the older games. I do love this giant spike weapon though, especially if that's how it works in game. Normally they don't work like that, but it's nice to think that they will. Got this giant, what looks like a mobile armor here, which I think we see a similar one in a moment, just bursting through a wall. Looks like it might be a boss. This looks kind of similar to it. And then the game starts giving me Armored Core 5 vibes, but I'm not entirely sure here right now. You can't see or make out, or at least I can't make out any mechs here that are hanging off this, even underneath, because I thought, okay, they're bringing back the helicopter troop carriers from AC5, which would sort of give us an idea that they may be doing like team battles, very similar, setup, and I was worried about that, but doesn't seem to be the case, although if it is, it's hard to tell. We got this bit here. I don't know whether it's you guys or whether it's just the leaks that are influencing me again, the way that everything was worded. This bit just reminds me of Dune. And the music as well. We got some ACs in the background moving slowly. That just reminds me of the attack on the base area on Arrakis. I think it is from Dune. So cool. Then we've got what looks like another AC5 reference. These, because the red lights, they look like unmanned ACs. Or in AC5, they're called UNACs, I think, or something. They were designed by they were designed for the player so that the player could send them out and fight. It was really weird. Then we got the pile bunker style weapon again. Again, this core here, this core is a mixture of classic and I feel like 5 and 4 maybe? Just because of the extra scopes on it and everything. That one shot where they're equipping the next weapon, even though it's like, okay, you've got shoulder mounted weapons here that you can trade out and grab by the looks of it. It definitely reminds me of AC5, but the look of the weapons also reminds me of AC4. And then we got this weird transforming head. And then it goes off. Fires of the Rubicon. Again, this is the thing I was saying, when you look at the Rubicon, or just the phrase crossing the Rubicon, that's, the point of no return. So, I feel like that may have been chosen deliberately to be like, okay, if we can't bring AC back now, then it's never coming back. That's my interpretation of it anyway. It could be the whole thing, to do with the story of, we've crossed the point of no return with devastating an entire planet. So I guess we've got to continue down this path and see what happens. Again, it's interesting. It's got my attention more because it has more of a classic look to it. Again, Generation 3, Generation 4 especially, it mixed in there with little bits of 5 that have me concerned. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving this. I'm liking the look of it, and even if it is a CGI trailer, it's still pretty cool to see. Honestly, I want to see gameplay because a lot of the time with AC trailers, they don't reflect, or I'm assuming this might be an intro as well at some point. Trailers and intros for AC normally don't reflect gameplay, they just show ideas of what could be there. For anyone who will be familiar with that sort of thing, it's like AC5 was supposed to have transforming parts. It showed them off in, I think, the intro and then didn't. The same with Armored Core 4, it was meant to have transforming parts, and early on it was meant to be a mix of the 3rd gen and 4th gen, and that didn't happen. Armored Core 2, they showed destructible parts, but that wasn't a thing until Armored Core Silent Line, I believe. So yeah, there's a lot of kind of, I don't know whether you could even say tempered excitement. I am happy that this has finally been announced after a decade of waiting for anything. I imagine a lot more fans are going to be super excited about this. But again, until I see gameplay properly of it, I'm going to approach it with caution, and we'll see what happens in future. Either way, if it's anything like the leaked concept stuff that was shown, or the leaked images have shown, then I'll be very happy, because I like the way that they seem to have picked up on this mix of sort of classic stuff with the stuff that they know worked for them. But I guess only time will tell. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you on the next video. So until then, bye!